Hi, my name is Krystalynne Haskins, and I am in the MSW program with UW-Tacoma. Today I'm going to be talking about a wraparound program specifically designed for youth that are at risk in the K-12 school system. So the program is called Youth Wraparound Program, Reuniting Community in Schools. And the main goal of the program is to start closing the disproportional rate of discipline sanctions for youth of color and of marginalized populations, specifically youth with disabilities. So this project kind of started for me in a very personal way. I've worked in special education in the K-12 system. I've also worked in the wraparound program with the Puyallup tribe as an advocate for youth that are Native American and primarily have discipline kind of stuff going on in school. And then I have had the great honor of being a clinician in the WISE program. And through these experiences, I've seen where there's a lot of systems that kind of cross over and where systems aren't always working together, and it really impacts the youth's life overall and really what their goals can be. So that brings us to the need statement, and that is youth that have been suspended, expelled, or placed in isolated, self-contained classrooms or schools need a community where they feel safe, accepted, and connected. This ties into our kind of social work ethics, and that there needs to be dignity and worth of every person. And there also needs to be justice for youth, and their voice needs to be heard. The mission of the program is we are a wraparound program that aims to bring a sense of community to youth who have been isolated, rejected, and excluded from their school community. The program connects youth who have been suspended, expelled, and or placed in more restrictive environments due to their behavior with agencies that support their health and wellness needs. This kind of comes out of the research that based from the Whole Child Initiative, it really drove a zero tolerance culture in schools where just for very basic behavioral issues, youth were being suspended. And with one suspension, it increases the chances of a youth entering the criminal justice system as an adult, which is really scary to think that a child can be suspended for so much as like a food fight or being disruptive. That's a big one, being disruptive in their classroom, and that impacts and has chances of impacting their life in a greater picture. So the primarily OSPI in Washington State has been working on a compassionate schools initiative, and that should be hopefully rolling out this year. In the Compassionate School Initiative, they specifically address youth at risk. And that brings me to the theory that I'm working out of. It's the theory of change and specifically restorative justice. And the empirical and effectiveness of a multi-tiered system support of approach looks at tiering those youth that are already considered at risk and wrapping them in community-based services. The first outcome of this project is to really improve those youth's relationship with their school community. And as part of the program, there's going to be assessments within the program for youth and their teachers and parents to partake in a survey to specifically address what the youth is needing. So the indicator that would measure this goal or this outcome would be that the youth reports having caring teachers, and this also allows for the teacher and the parent to report if they feel the youth is being supported in the school system. The second indicator is the use of 2 or more community-based services as part of the school discipline procedures, and I'll talk about some of the community connections in the intervention section. The second outcome is improving the youth's overall social functioning. In this, the indicator would be manages anger appropriately and relates positively with peers. The program hopes to be able to connect youth in their schools with all of these community resources, and in the hopes it's also modeling how a youth can be at the forefront of their treatment and be at the forefront of what they're wanting for their life. And that goes just based off, again, just knowing that our clients are the experts of their life. The third outcome is overall reduced recidivism. This one's kind of touchy for me in that I don't think that we should be looking at youth as like the perpetrators, and I'm hoping that there's an overall shift in how implicit bias is looked at in the school community, and how that can be addressed also hopefully through this program. The first indicator for reduced recidivism is no reoffenses for 6 months. And there's a hope that with the community resources that the youth will be tied to, that they will have advocates and attorneys, and have a real opportunity to have their voice be heard in the school system and address those adaptations and accommodations that they're needing in order to be successful. The second indicator of the third outcome is fewer absences from school. With youth being suspended and in long-term suspensions and expulsions, and again, the recidivism of suspension, youth spend a lot of time outside of school, away from a community, being connected, being seen, being heard, being accepted, and really feeling like they have a place and being a part of something. The intervention is to provide at-risk youth identified through the Compassionate School Initiative who have been suspended, expelled, or placed in isolated settings with wraparound community-based resources. These resources would include special education advocates, youth attorneys, mental health services, mentor programs, and mentor programs. Youth Wraparound Program believes in the wraparound theory of change by integrating multi-system supports in one location while empowering youth voice. Some of the community connections that I would hope to reach is Team Child. They are youth attorneys, and they work with youth in the criminal justice system and youth who have received expulsions or suspensions and seek to find kind of that happy ground with the school, and get the youth back in school and back with their friends and peers, and what the best, least restrictive environment would be for them. Youth Justice Project is another program very similar to Team Child. It works with the youth to get them reconnected with their school, and really advocates for their least restrictive environment as well. PAVE is an advocate program. It really works with families with special needs. WISE is a community mental health service. Greater Lakes is also a community mental health service, and Big Brothers Big Sisters is also a community service for youth. Now, looking at all of these community connections, they are all residual in nature. They all take Medicaid funding. And so with YWAP, we would hope that in years of showing that this program is really needed, and that by bringing all of these resources together for the youth in their school setting and connecting them with their school, that it would also be hopefully a Medicaid funded program as well. So that kind of covers the youth wraparound program, primarily for youth at risk in this K-12 school system. And thank you. I don't know how to stop this.